Good day everyone, I am back again for another instructional video, and for today's video our topic will be on subject-verb agreement.
The sun goes down, the stars come out.
In English, subject-verb agreement is important. What this means is that the characteristics of the subject should be reflected in the verb. To help you understand more, I will discuss to you 10 rules of subject-verb agreement. In subject-verb agreement, subjects and verbs must agree in number. Our first rule says if the subject is singular, the verb must be singular too. Example, she writes every day. The only exception is when using the singular they, use plural verb forms. Example, the participant expressed satisfaction with their job. They are currently in a managerial role at the organization. Our second rule in the subject-verb agreement is if the subject is plural, the verb must also be plural. It's that simple.
Okay.
Example, they write every day. Sometimes, however, it seems a bit more complicated than this.
Okay.
So our third rule in the subject-verb agreement is when the subject of the sentence is composed of two or more nouns or pronouns connected by and, use a plural verb. Example, the doctoral student and the committee members write every day. Another example is the percentage of employees who called in sick and the number of employees who left their jobs within 2 years are reflective of the level of job satisfaction. So our fourth rule in the subject-verb agreement is that when there is one subject and more than one verb, the verbs throughout the sentence must agree with the subject. Example, interviews are one way to collect data and allow researchers to gain an in-depth understanding of participants. So our fifth rule in the subject-verb agreement is when a phrase comes between the subject and the verb, remember that the verb still agrees with the subject, not the noun or pronoun in the phrase following the subject of the sentence. Example, the student, as well as the committee members, is excited. As you can see, is the one that we are using, and not are. It is because our subject there is the student and not the committee members. So our sixth rule in the subject-verb agreement is when two or more singular nouns or pronouns are connected by or nor, use a singular verb. For example, the chairperson or the CEO approves the proposal before proceeding. As you can see, we use the singular verb, approves. It is because our subjects are singular. And I have said this before that we must remember this. All subjects and verbs must agree in number. So that's it.
Okay.
Our seventh rule in the subject-verb agreement is when a compound subject contains both a singular and a plural noun or pronoun, joined by or nor, the verb should agree with the part of the subject that is closest to the verb. This is also called the rule of proximity. For example, the student or the committee members write every day. Another example is the committee members or the student writes every day. As you can see in our first example, our verb that we used, the verb that we use there is plural. It is because the subject closest to the verb is plural. And in our second example, we use the verb we used a singular verb, it is because our subject that is closest to the verb is singular. Our eighth rule in the subject-verb agreement is the words and phrases each one, either, neither, everyone, everybody, anyone, anybody, nobody, somebody, someone, and no one are singular and require a singular verb. For example, each of the participants was willing to be recorded. So the verb that we use there is singular. It is because there's a word each. So if we don't have that word each, or we just use participants, the verb that we will be using, or that verb that we would be using, is plural. But since each is present in the sentence, we used the singular verb. Our ninth rule in the subject-verb agreement is that non-count nouns take a singular verb. For example, education is the key to success. Education there is our subject, and it is an example of a non-count noun. That's why it takes a singular verb. Some countable nouns in English, such as earnings, goods, odds, surroundings, proceeds, contents, and valuables, only have a plural form and take a plural verb. This is our 10th rule, by the way. So, for example, the earnings for this quarter exceed expectations.
That's all for today's video. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys learned something from this video. See you again soon, and thank you. Goodbye.
Okay.